Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the highest court in the Commonwealth makes a decision involving an attempt to temporarily block Kentucky's ban on abortions. And Kentucky Senate Judiciary Committee discusses a bill that is aimed at making hazing a felony here in the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. 6:32, and we finally made it to Friday. I'm Dakota Makris. Thank you so much for waking up with us. Let's take it over to Brandon for a look at that forecast this morning. And if you're working early this morning, you might run into some ponding water. I know I did in downtown Hazard. I know this is weird, but I had to drive on the other side of the road just to miss it.
And you did the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I'm not driving through it.
Yeah,
so.
You're driving around it. And that's, if there's road to drive, that's absolutely okay.
And the thing is I thought like, oh, well, it's clear now. No, it was still, because I couldn't really tell if it was the road or actual water. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drive on the other side of the road.
You just have to you have to play it safe, exactly. But again, there's also still some water over some roads. I just got a report on Facebook. There's some deep water over on the road over in the Jeremiah community of Letcher County. So again, there's probably still water high this morning. The heaviest rain has ended, but again, still be careful out there this morning. Don't travel if you don't have to. Lots of school closings and delays. You can see those on the bottom of your screen at WYMT.com. Still filtering through the messages, but so far that I have seen, no water in homes, which is good news after people still recovering from July. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and you see again some pockets of heavy rain still over into parts of Pike County. This was trying to move out, and it redeveloped there just a little bit, so you could even hear some rumbles of thunder. Probably not thunder because it's a little bit colder this morning after the cold front went through. But you see out there back toward Hazard, basically back out toward Middlesboro and Barberville, those areas could be mixing with a little bit of snow this morning as those temperatures continue to drop. But again, I think we're in good shape. This thing, I don't know what's going on with it. It's just one of those situations. I can literally see it over here on our monitor in the Weather Center, but it will not pop up on air. So I may have talked to our engineer about that today. We're looking at temperatures that are continuing to fall there. 47 in Grundy this morning, 42 in Clintwood, 41 Wise in Jonesville, but 30s, 34 in Hazard, the cold spot this morning, 37 London and Somerset, Moorhead too, and at 41 in Harlan and Jonesville right now. Big difference from this time yesterday, 20 degrees or more colder than it was this time yesterday. Big time cold front come through and dropped us a lot of temperatures. I think we were close to 60 yesterday in some spots. We're in the 30s this morning. Breakfast forecast, be careful if you have to be out. If you don't, stay at the house and let the water go down. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, from diagnosis to denial, a former Kentucky National Guard soldier is fighting for benefits after being diagnosed with PTSD. Garrett Weimer shows us how state law leaves Guard members at risk of being left behind.
It was always his dream to serve.
I feel like God calls certain people to do certain things.
He signed with the Kentucky Army National Guard as a teenager.
That was my calling.
Was once even named Soldier of the Year.
At one point I had it made.
But that was all before he was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Now I struggle to even speak.
We'll call him Jason. That's not his name, but he asked to remain anonymous because of the stigma that still surrounds PTSD and his fears that it could hinder future opportunities.
I've got a lot of life ahead of me, and I try every day. I try every single day.
For 2 years now, he's been trying to build back a life that nearly crumbled to pieces after he says his National Guard unit was assigned to work riot control in September 2020.
This is WKYT News at 11.
The city of Louisville is on edge tonight.
Ahead of a decision by the grand jury, the city has been preparing.
This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges in Miss Breonna Taylor's death.
Tensions have remained high throughout the night.
The National Guard says 500 Guard members were deployed to Louisville to help assist the LMPD.
I'd say within a few months of being there, it's all I thought about.
By the time Jason was diagnosed with PTSD, he says he was relieved to have an answer. But when he tried to get help, the letters in return brought denial after denial from workers' compensation, the VA, and Social Security disability. Jason says he fell through the cracks. SSDI determined the effects of PTSD were, quote, not severe enough to keep him from working. He's not eligible for workers' compensation because Kentucky state law requires something like PTSD to be tied to a physical injury to be covered. And he was denied by the VA because the National Guard was on state active duty orders instead of federal.
That's a huge slap in the face for our community.
Advocates have vowed to push for change.
They're serving honorably in our home state. And if the federal government won't take care of them, then I think Kentucky needs to.
Jeremy Harrell's nonprofit Veterans Club offers services and programs to help those who wore the uniform. They work directly with 7,000 veterans around the region, and Harrell knows the impact PTSD can have. He says accessing benefits shouldn't be that hard.
It needs to be addressed. We have to take care of the people that take care of us. You can't ask people to go into harm's way and just disregard the needs that they have once they complete that.
Inform the caucuses and members we are ready to convene.
State lawmakers could fix part of the problem. A bill filed in the General Assembly, House Bill 219, would make first responders, frontline staff, and National Guard members on state active duty eligible for workers' compensation if diagnosed with PTSD, even without a physical injury.
Body shall come to order.
A similar bill last year that did not even include National Guard members like Jason went nowhere.
The hardest thing about being in the National Guard is taking that uniform off and coming back home.
His desire to serve remains strong. He says he knows others are struggling too.
They come and talk to me, and some of them have been through absolute hell, and there's no help for them.
One reason he hopes to be a voice for change, even as he tries to figure out his own future.
What's next for me? I don't know. I don't know.
Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Family members of other first responders diagnosed with PTSD are pushing for those changes to workers' comp. House Bill 219 was filed just last week. You can learn more about it on WYMT.com. The Kentucky Supreme Court has issued a ruling on abortions. Yesterday's ruling involves an injunction that tried to temporarily block Kentucky's abortion ban. Justices say the ban can remain in effect while a lawsuit against the ban plays out. That means nothing is changing for now, and almost all abortions remain illegal in Kentucky.
The laws that are duly enacted that as we sit here right now are saving lives every day will continue to remain in effect. It's a reason to celebrate, but we also recognize that the battle to protect life in all cases in Kentucky and across the nation, that battle will continue.
But this decision affects the very narrow issue of the injunction and whether or not the injunction would be reinstated and whether or not we would be able then to resume abortion care in Kentucky. While we're incredibly disappointed that we cannot, there is still a legal path forward, and this fight is not over.
A lower court will now look at the facts of the case and eventually rule on the law itself. Another bill filed in Frankfort yesterday would not allow public colleges and universities to enter into lifetime contracts in the future. The Herald Leader reports it would not impact the lifetime contract of UK basketball coach John Calipari, but Representative Patrick Flannery's bill would create a law that would not allow such arrangements in the future. House Bill 336 has not been assigned to a committee yet. The Senate Judiciary Committee heard Senate Bill 9. The bill would make hazing a felony in the Commonwealth. For the Hazelwood family, it is a bill they believe is incredibly important. Tracy Hazelwood said her son Thomas, also known as Lofton, died as a result of hazing after he received his bid for the farmhouse fraternity at the University of Kentucky. Now she says she wants people to be held accountable for hazing. Senate Bill 9 could do just that.
We beg of you to pass this law because we don't want anybody to go through what we went through. I want everybody to think about being 3 hours away and you get that phone call.
The bill would make hazing in the first degree a Class D felony and hazing in the second degree a Class A misdemeanor. A person would be guilty if he or she intentionally or wantonly engages in an act of hazing that results in serious physical injury or death to a minor or student, and a person is guilty if someone recklessly engages in the act of hazing. Tickets for the upcoming spring meet at Keeneland in Lexington went on sale Tuesday. As we move closer to spring, that means we're inching closer to March Madness, but also days spent at the racetrack. And unfortunately for some, the Senior Director of Operations at Keeneland says select tickets have already sold out.
Our dining rooms did sell out rather quickly, but there are still tickets available. We have reserved grandstand seating available on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we still have general admission tickets available every day.
Tuesday's sale hit record numbers, making it the largest ticket sale in Keeneland history. Employees say they are ready to get back to the races and have fans fill the stands this spring.
.642 here on this first alert weather day on this Friday morning. We're seeing the heaviest bands of rain move out, but some of them have gotten kind of stuck right there along the border with Kentucky and Virginia. They're kind of redeveloping just a little bit, but they should be moving out pretty quickly. I do think we're going to see some brief light snow showers work their way in as we head deeper in the morning. Not everybody will see those. Everybody will see the clouds, though, for most of today before they start to clear out tonight. And temperatures about the warmest they're going to be all day right now, in the upper 30s. Some folks already dropping into the mid-30s. Hazard's at 34. Williamsburg is at 36, along with Moorhead and Jackson this morning. 45, and Grundy is our warm spot, down from 54 a little earlier. So your out-the-door forecast features possibilities for rain, changing over to some snow a little bit later on today. Light accumulations, if anything, let's call it little to no accumulation, except maybe in the higher elevations they might get a little bit of a dusting, if that. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. 6:43 still to come here on Mountain News this morning. A new study takes a look at how long immunity from COVID lasts after you're diagnosed with the case of the virus. Stay with us.